Hey, home theater nerds, welcome to the Bright Side Home Theater Podcast. The Home Theater Podcast, it's all about the experiences, the sights,
the sounds,
the scenes.
Couldn't even look at Steve. I was like, I'm going to screw it up. I know it. He's back. Steve's back, and I'm going to screw it up.
I would be lying, Deej, if I said I didn't secretly think about jumping in right at the beginning, going, "Hey, home theater nerds, welcome to me."
I would have let you go.
I was so close.
I would have let you go. That would have been great. Have you been practicing all week?
Let go, as in fired.
No,
I would have let you go.
Yeah, I would have let you go. So, John, how you doing this week? Hey,
Steve,
where did he go? Where did who go? Oh, yeah. Yep, rehearsed that all week just for you, Steve. Getting ready.
It's awesome. Smooth.
Yeah, smooth. Last week went smooth and you weren't here, so I got nervous. I'm like, maybe it's just Steve. John was thinking the same thing.
I was not.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys did very well last week, but can I say, and I was watching on a 55-inch TV with the we were watching, hence the chat and everything else. But can I say you slacked a bit last week, fellas?
What
90 minutes. 90 minutes.
90 minutes.
Going on?
Well,
God, I'm appalled.
Is that all it was?
We actually went over 7 o'clock. It's just we started so late.
We started pretty. That's right.
We got a pretty good rant going before the show. Right. So we may have done that again this week, but the three of us got so excited. We were like, we got to get in. We got to get in. So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, no, it's so, 90 minutes, guys. Come on. Standards, fellas. Standards.
I know.
Yeah. Well, hey, they can't all be gems like you. Like when you're here.
Yeah.
No, we went over, actually. We went past 7.
Well, we went late. Yeah, but we started super late.
Yeah, we started late. So,
Dee, just before we move on, can I just take a moment to acknowledge John's haircut? Looking very sort of high and dry. If you go any more high and dry, you're going to be dispatched to Los Angeles.
I know it. She went a little short this time around. I was telling my wife, I was like, holy crap.
Looking cool.
Yeah, I can see my scalp through the
side of
my head.
Yeah, it's like you got drafted again.
I know.
It's like you're back.
Where's the bayonet?
Yeah.
It's like, right. Where's the bayonet?
What's that? A number 2 on the sides? That's pretty tight.
It's a 3, but
a 3. Wow.
Which is is what I always get, but I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
She went pretty deep.
I don't know, Steve. Does it also seem like your camera is further back? It feels like you're like smaller, lower, and we see more of the room too. Not Steve's camera, John's camera.
Oh, right.
I have moved it.
Okay. That's because like Steve and I are relatively the same size.
Oh.
And you look like shrunk.
It's not any further back because it's always on my monitor.
Yeah. Oh, no, but I don't know if like the aspect ratio has changed.
No, you know what it is? I actually did. I slid my monitor all the way to the back of my desk so I would have more room.
Because we're seeing more room, less of you, and it makes your haircut probably look like that much more.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I wanted more desk space because I was working on something, and then I decided to leave it that way. So
because I don't know if we've been able to see the framed pictures on the wall that's on your left.
Yeah, actually, now you can see even the bottom of the cases down there.
Yeah, the hardwood floor.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
There you go.
We're nothing if not observant.
John looks like the second baseman in League of Their Own.
Yeah. I'll just move like now I'm right up on the desk.
There you go. Yeah.
Well,
that's the John we know. Pull back. This is high def.
HDMI.
Oh God.
Oh man, but let's say looking good.
What did Yoda say when he saw himself in 4K?
Yeah.
HDMI.
Mm-hmm. There we go.
Oh, and on that bombshell,
I was trying to leave it. He wanted to bring it back out.
I brought it back.
Yeah,
dusted it off.
Yeah. Do you want to get right to that little bit of an experience now that we're talking Star Wars?
Yeah. So I had those listening, obviously you two know because I texted you straight away because I wasn't about to not.
Keep me in suspense.
Yeah. I had a bit of a weird Star Wars experience last week. It was very unexpected. I was away, and I had been into a local HMV branch. That's the physical media retailer we talked about before. And I had decided to buy a few discs, not Star Wars. But as I came out, and this is how sad I am, guys. I've got to, confess all. I came out of the store and immediately began to add them to the My Movies app, right? Straight away. I can't, that's how sad I am. And I accept that. So I was doing that. And as I was doing that, I had my head down and I was sort of leaning on a bench. And there was an old guy sat on the bench. And it's a pedestrian area. Okay, you guys, I don't think you really have them in the US like that, but it's on the high streets in very old towns here. They've been pedestrianized, so you can't really drive down them. So as I was adding these to the app, and this old chap is sat there, suddenly I become aware of a Tesla driving slowly through the pedestrian area, but driving precariously close to this old chap who was sat down and then me. And I thought, what the hell is this person doing? And as I am wont to do, I looked at the driver of this Tesla, who was rather vertically challenged. And I'm thinking, I recognize that person. And very quickly realized the driver of that Tesla was one Warrick Davis, Wicket or Willow himself. And I thought, it just can't be. But no, it was him. It was him. And he carried on down the road, then reversed up a very narrow alleyway. And I was thinking to myself, I've got to go and say hello. I just thought I've got to. So I went up this alleyway, went to see him. He was out of the car by this point and was walking into what I realized subsequently was a hairdresser's. Not something I visited very often, but it was a hairdresser's or a barber's, which had a rather apt name. Deej, do you want to chuck that picture up? So those
I just thought of something that I think we should do. I'm going to do before we put that picture up there.
Yeah. Okay, I see. Yeah, I can see.
You see what I'm doing?
Yeah. I can talk a bit longer if you want me to longer.
Yeah, talk for a sec. Let me pull that up again.
So he went into the barbershop. Now I was going to go and speak to him, but he was not alone. There was someone else with him who was not about to let me or I think anybody else get anywhere near him, and was giving me sort of the evil eye, as it were. So I did not get a chance to go and see him. I would have loved to have done, but just I thought, right, she's not happy. I mean, she's not a bodyguard, but I get the impression she was not terribly happy. So anyway, I left him to it, but I did take this photo because, as I say, the place itself is very apt. So if those of you watching on mobile phone screens might not be able to see, those watching on larger screens can. That is Mr. Davis's car. Well done, Deej.
Yeah, I just took the license plate. I'm oh my God, we have his license plate. I'm like, that wouldn't be cool to put out onto YouTube.
Quite. But the name of the barbershop is Jabba the Cut. And that is where our Warrick Davis went to get his hair cut. So I had to text you guys straight away.
How does that happen? It's like, what are the odds? Like, I mean, he has to know. Obviously, he knows the place, and he's. What I mean by like he has to know, it's like he's got to be doing it on purpose too.
Yeah,
knowing it's like, like that's like, all right. Oh my God.
But apparently he lives locally and he moves around. I was talking to a shop owner of a kind of a nerd shop, and because I can't think of any other way of doing it. A memorabilia shop. There we go. We'll do that. And I'd said I've just had a weird encounter, and I told him what had happened, and he said, oh yeah. He moves around this particular area quite a lot, and they had pictures with him as well on their walls. So sometimes you can speak to him. But just not me. I was not about to, because I mean, how are you guys with that? I mean, I'm always a bit wary of celebrities. I mean, I've met many of them, including Brad Pitt, who was lovely. But in terms of like I always think, well, I don't want to hassle them. You know, I get that they're on days off and they've got things to do. So I'm not someone who would go up and make a point of imposing myself. They'd have to be stood there looking like they wanted to talk to people.
Yeah,
for me to go and actually engage, because I just think it otherwise, what's going to happen if he turns around and tells you to go forth and multiply using Anglo-Saxon verbiage?
Right,
you're never going to look back the same way again, are you? You're never going to think, oh man, now that's it. Now every time I see Wicket, I'm going to want to punch him. And I get most people when they see Ewoks want to punch them anyway, but I'm not one of those people. So how are you with that? If you saw someone like that, would you go up and see them, or just think, do you know what, that's fine, I've seen them and that's enough?
John,
I mean, I've honestly never really, the only encounters I've ever had with celebrities have been in shops where I've been working, where
you had the Jawa lady, didn't you?
I did that. That was at my comic shop. But when I worked in retail, I worked in downtown Houston in a more affluent part of town. And we had the Bushes in a few times. I met Selma Blair at the store, baseball player Craig Biggio, but it was more through interactions. Just, you know, like we assisted them in the store. But yeah, I don't know. Out on the street, it would depend on the situation, I guess, like how accessible they were and how intrusive I felt like I was going to be. But no real, I don't have a lot of interaction where I've had interactions. So it's hard to say.
That's not a picture I took, by the way.
No, yeah.
I didn't wait till he came
right
out.
After his haircut. Fancy sidewalk.
Not as cool as John's haircut, obviously. But
no, I just figured I'd put up the image for anybody that's like not exactly sure who we're talking about.
I seem to be frozen. But
why are you listening to the show if you don't know who Warrick Davis is?
Yeah.
So what about you, Deej? Are you one to go and say hi and impose yourself potentially? Or
No, it's no. And I've had quite a few run-ins in my lifetime, whether it be in Franklin, delivering pizzas, and Franklin's kind of a back then, still is now today. A lot of the Patriot players live there. So you'd be like right on their doorstep, hi, and it's like people would show up all the time and ask them for autographs and everything. But I was always just like, here's your pizza. And then of course through USA Hockey and stuff, meeting people, meeting hockey players, meeting, just quote unquote celebrities. I always just leave them alone. Always leave them alone. It's like, especially in public, but when you're in their environment, like meaning like this isn't what it is. It's not an opportunity. Like John said, it's like if I'm at a Comic-Con or an event, then of course you feel bad. It's like one of the times Joe and I went to one right after COVID. It was the first, they call it Fan Fest here in Boston, not Comic-Con, because that's trademarked for San Diego. And who was the guy? Oh, it was John Lovitz. Oh, okay. John Lovitz was signing there. And I think I called John from the floor, our John. And I'm like, not John Lovitz. The poor guy, we're just standing there watching him and nobody was going up to him.
Am I gone? Like,
no, you're here, but you're just frozen.
My screen just went completely black. I can't see anything anymore.
Oh, okay. So, well, if you want to back out and come back in.
I will, but last week you told me that wasn't good for the show.
Well, no, it's just me. I just have 2 audios to do, but if it's going to be, you're back now. Now
it seems to be coming back. I don't know what's going on,
but anyways, so yeah, John Lovitz just sat there and nobody was going up to him. And it was like, I mean, you just like, I hope he's getting paid, but I didn't go up to them either. But yeah, in public, I would just leave them alone. There was
I've met many celebrities in places, in things like that, where you're actually going to meet them.
You're supposed to be there. You're supposed to engage.
Yeah. And I've engaged many people, but again, those were all like autograph sessions and things like that, meet and greets and things of that nature. So,
I think it's different when they come up to you, isn't it? I mean, again, Brad Pitt, he was at the Beowulf premiere with Angelina Jolie, and he just came straight over to us and just said, "Oh, hi, I'm Brad."
That's awesome. Yeah, we know.
Brad who?
Brad. I'm sure I've seen you.
You look familiar. Have I seen you in town? What grocery store you go to?
do we know each other? Yeah, he was, and he came straight over and put his hand out and said hi, and we shook his hand. And what was funny about that is my girlfriend at that time, because Beowulf, so 2007, whenever it was, and my girlfriend at the time just would not let go of his arm. She had hold of his forearm and just couldn't let him go, and she was just like, had hold of him. But he was lovely, really nice. But he had come over, so he was trying to engage and and say hello. And that's that's a different thing, I think, to the other side of it. But I'm always wary of it. I always think it's not it's not cool. I mean, I think Paul was saying in the chat there he knew someone that chased Graham Norton, who's a chat show host over here, down a side road to try and say hello. It's not a good look.
God.
Which is true. I mean, you shouldn't pursue them. I mean, you're not TMZ. It's not kind of we're gonna race down the road after them, and that's not cool. And frankly, you're asking for a punch in the face. I think if you do that.
I have friends that'll just go up to them and ask for a picture, and I'm like, how can you do that? He goes, they just expect it. That's their life. They expect it. I'm like, no.
They may tolerate it, but
they don't expect it, and it's just like you're like.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to come out. I'll be back in a second. All right.
I think I've told the story before on the show. One of the athletes I met was Kevin Turner, who has since passed away from ALS. But I met him delivering pizzas, and then I had asked him, I went up to him, after a few times, I said, hey, I do these drawings. I'm like, can I do one of you and have you autograph it? And he's like, sure, absolutely. So I did the drawing, went back, and he invited me in, sat down, and I kind of got to know him over time just because he bought so many lunches through the restaurant. And after all that, like months went by, and I was working nights at Seal Test, and the payphone rings, and it's him calling the cafeteria to talk to easily. He wanted to ask me a question, and he was pretty big at the time. The Patriots, this was when Drew Bledsoe was playing. He was a #1 pick. He was famous, blah, blah, blah. So he called me because he wanted me to do a drawing for Christmas for his dad. And the people, all the guys in the cafeteria, they all know who he was. They're like, Kevin Turner is calling you? I'm like, yeah, hey, me and him like this. But one of the things his girlfriend, fiance told me at the time when I was dropping the picture off is like, no, he appreciates you because you don't bother. You're normal. You treat him normal, and it's like, I think I've told the story before. It's like he had a stack of footballs in his dining room, like, 3-4 feet high all the way down the wall. And every single one of those footballs was for Drew Bledsoe. People would go to his condo, ring his bell, and hand him a football, ask if he could get Drew Bledsoe's autograph, not his.
Right.
And you're just like, what the? I'm like, that's disgusting. And I go, you do it? He goes, you kind of got it. He goes, if you don't, they think you're a dink. And if you do, so you just do it. So I just bring him. He goes, he's got enough to sign anyways. It's like, really, but it's, crazy. Man. But that's how people are. People just think they can, because that's their life. They think you can just walk all over them. And it's like, they're normal people, and it's like, that's got to be aggravating.
Yeah, I think you should. It should either be where it's just a natural interaction, and then it's like, oh, by the way, get a picture or whatever. But I think if you approach them when they're just doing their own thing, you are asking for a, get lost. If you approach Shane Lee in the grocery aisle of a shop, you've got to be prepared for him to tell you to, go away.
Yeah.
But the biggest mic drop for that was my brother, who knows nothing about movies, not interested. He's the direct opposite of me, not interested at all. Who ended up working on the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles in Spain in 90, whatever it was. I think I've told this before, but he came back one day and he said to me, Steve, who's George Lucas? I'm like, what do you mean, who's George Lucas? He goes, well, is he well known? Is he famous? And I'm like, for God's sake, Chris. I'm like, right, yes. He directed Star Wars. He invented, Indiana Jones, all that. He goes, oh, right. Oh, okay, fair enough. And I said, oh, why'd you ask? I said, oh, I had lunch with him today. Absolutely no clue who he was, none whatsoever. And again, that goes back to your thing. I suspect George was like, oh, this guy has got no clue who I am. We're going to
probably had a great lunch with him.
Lovely. Yeah, exactly.
A great lunch.
Yeah,
because I would have been answering questions and
different.
Yeah, just treating him like a person. Hey, nice to meet you. What do you do for a living?
Right.
Yeah. And what do you do? And Chris got a lovely reference from Rick McCallum and George Lucas actually at the end of it all. A lovely Lucasfilm reference. So I think he's still got somewhere.
Wow,
about the work that he'd done for them and everything else. And they were great. But I don't know if I said my parents visited the set. and they had lunch with Rick McCallum, Chris, and George wasn't about at that point. And so Rick McCallum was there. This is before he produced then the prequels. And in front of my parents, Rick McCallum, a Hollywood producer, said to my brother, "Have you ever considered doing any acting?" And my brother said, "No, I'm not into that." Now, for the longest time, I said to Chris, maybe he had him in mind for the new Jabba the Hutt. But anyway, Chris didn't appreciate that.
Yeah,
That's all the new Jabba the Hutt was. Right. Yeah, a Hollywood producer says, "Ever thought about doing acting?" And you go, "No."
Nah.
It's hysterical.
It's a funny old
I am now.
Yeah.
Now that you mention it.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So there we go. Never mind. Never mind. Right. Should we say hi to everyone in the chat? Shall I do that?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Now that you're back, you can take exactly. Do your job, Steve.
Do your job. Do your job.
Come on. What you getting paid for? Oops.
Oh, right. Oh, lovely. When?
Yeah. What does this pay you speak of?
Exactly.
Yeah, what is this pay of which you speak? Yeah, absolutely. All right. So first in, we have a new first timer. First in the chat. Dom. Bonsoir Dom himself was here earlier this evening, some 4 3/4 hours before we started. I think that's Dom's first. Mikey was in after that. Captain AC3 then said, "Good for you, Dom, for being first."
Nice.
So I think they're all back in now as well. Steve At's in, obviously, in the chat. Hey, Steve. Rach is in, and I think Rach is on holiday, so joining us from another part of the country. Scruffy's in. Hey, Scruffy. Paul Hurt's in, obviously. Hey, Paul. And then we've got, I said Scruffy, didn't I? I think I did.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Beth's in. Hey, Beth. How you doing?
Hey, Beth.
We've got Brightside in.
Bright's in.
Hopefully, yeah. I think I saw old school Kung Fu movies had dropped in as well. And I'm just trying to see. I saw some other people just dropped in as well. Jack Lee's in. Say,
Nice.
Q Crikey from a certain person. Hey, Jack. Lane Smith's in. Hey, Lane. And we've got, again, TSG's in as well. Local boy, TSG. And some incredulity in the chat from Steve Att, I think it was, after Jordan said he's just finished watching Kingdom of Heaven in 4K. And Steve Att saying you actually got one. Wasn't just Dom. I've got it too. Tune in for next week for that, because I did not have 3 hours and 20 minutes to watch it, although I'm going to try and make time this week.
Nice.
So, yeah, I think the gang's all here. But looking by the numbers, there are other people in the chat that have not said hello. If you want to say hello, feel free. We're always happy to belittle you. I mean, say hello to you. That's what we mean.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll only belittle you if you speak a lot.
Like me.
Yeah. Because eventually you'll put your foot in your mouth like we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big time. Did you guys happen to see, I'm looking for it right now on AV Nirvana, their question that Todd put out in the forum?
No.
What got you going?
Home? Yeah.
What got you into home theater? And I was like, I keep wanting to write mine up and drop it in there, and I will eventually. But I thought it was a great, we talk about every time I have somebody on, that's what we talk about, exactly. But it's a great one to see, to talk about and have a forum for that. I'm trying to find it though. Where is it right now? I'm looking on the fly. It's tough to do.
While you're looking at that, Billy Sellers has just dropped in. He's going to see a very unusual movie. He said, "Hi guys, going to see the new Carty Kid movie tonight."
Yeah.
That's an interesting one, Billy. Let us know what that's all about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the wax on, wax off.
Yeah.
Cardi B's son.
Yes, yeah. You're starring in that one. But yeah, no, I thought it had already come out. Karate Kid Legends or whatever they
came out a week or two ago.
Yeah. Did it?
Yeah, I thought it had too. Right, fine. Didn't do terribly well, I don't think, did it? No. Not great reviews and kind of came and went pretty quick. Whilst DJ's finding that as well, actually, can I just raise one thing based on last week's show? Sure. John, you talked about Mission Impossible.
Yes.
And you were talking about how in 1996, when the first one came out, by that point, there had not been any other 8 or 9 movie series other than Bond, I think you said, and maybe Police Academy. You mentioned Friday the 13th.
I did.
Now, I would be remiss of me as a diehard Friday the 13th fan, not to point out that by that point we were at part 9 as of 1993, where we had Jason Goes to Hell. Maybe we might mention it later. So by that point, that was number 9, and that was 93. Jason X. So that's Jason in Space, you mentioned.
Wasn't sure.
Yeah. I couldn't let it go.
Hey, no, that's fine. No, that's fine.
I
am not the diehard with the Friday the 13th. So
I just it had to be done. But it's they were on part 9 by that point. They were going year by year.
So they're on part 37 now. Is that what it is?
Yeah. Well, it all stopped in 2009. That was our last remake, and it's been quiet since then because of the rights issues. But there's a series coming, Crystal Lake. It's a prequel series, kind of reimagining. But and to give
Linda
you an
Cardellini,
idea,
I think, is playing.
She is Pamela Voorhees.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. And to give you an idea of how into this I am the one that listened to all 8 hours of the Crystal Lake Memories Blu-ray.
You're the one.
I'm the one. Just me.
They burned it all just for you.
They burned it after I watched it, I think. But that as a misspent youth, and a child of the 80s, it's only appropriate that I Friday the 13th.
All right.
Part 6 is still the best.
Here it is. There's the AV Nirvana forums. It's under the threads. What got you into home theater? What ignited your urge to want a home theater? And I was like, I read this and I'm like, what ignited my urge to write into this? I was like, oh my God. I'm like, I was on the road and I'm like, I got to type in it, but I didn't have time to get to it. And then, it's like, and Todd, like us, it's like, he's saying for me, it started at a very early age. We're talking the 1980s. And then he goes on to talk about a Sony Trinitron and stuff. And we talked about that on the show. And a lot of people, it just started that way. It's just, and I want to scroll through. There's a few like Sonny Parker, senior administrator, Tim Dawson, Stephen Gorman, a bunch of people have replied already. So check that out. I can't wait to reply. But I want to go through, see if there's more people in here that mention Star Wars. Because I know when I've had people on, everybody's like, well, Star Wars. It's like, I hate to say the same thing, but Star Wars. Like, that's all right. That's what's cool about it.
But it's a fun icebreaker or a takeover Tuesday as well, isn't it? When you get someone who's very new. Star Wars is definitely one of those things. So I mean, I think we've all talked about on this show, the three of us, what got us into it. I mean,
I just dropped the thread into the chat.
Oh, nice. Quickly copy that down.
Hurry and copy that down.
Hurry and copy that down, quick.
I love that.
Yeah.
You're driving.
Yeah. And it's funny because thinking of this stuff, I was like, I know John and I started in like roughly 88. Like, this Sonny Parker here says 84. I know Todd was 80s, late 80s as well. And Nelson, I know Nelson, having him on the show, he was in the 80s. And then even Paul Hurt, he goes back to, I think, even the late 70s into the 80s. But I want to say, like, these are and I'm not just trying to, because I was one of them, but I'm like, these are the people that were like, that kind of really did start home theater, because it didn't really exist yet. It was, at the time, it was mostly just, John and I thought we were coming up with new ideas. Right? Because it wasn't really, you wanted to be like the movie stars, and you heard about it maybe from, Roger Ebert would talk about what, the movie stars would have in their mansions, and they'd have something to watch them,
Robin Leach, man.
Yeah. That even came late,
rich and famous.
Yeah. But that came late 80s into the early 90s. And
but we were late 80s.
Yeah.
That's when we started looking at that stuff.
But it was more of like, just trying to duplicate what you had at the theater at home as best you could. And it's like, we had these stereo systems, and you're like, how do we get the TV into that? And I mean, it was so difficult because you had different connections. Some TVs didn't even have any other connection except for to put an antenna into it. Right. So how do you get a TV that has 2 screws on the back of it to get to play through your stereo? You're like, I think you couldn't.
It's interesting though, isn't it? Because you guys, came at it from the technical angle of how do I recreate my theatrical experience at home with, as you say, speakers and wires and everything else. And mine came from, I mean, always having been a lifelong movie fan, but parents then having had this video store in the 80s and 3,000 plus movies. So isn't it interesting that all these years later, you guys are still really interested in the technical side of it, and I'm still all about the experiences and the movies. Isn't that interesting that that really hasn't gone away in all that time in terms of kind of where your focus is? You know, we were all interested in each version to a certain extent. But isn't it interesting? Mine's like, oh, movies. I just want them to look and sound great, but it's the movies, my thing. Less about the technical side of it. And you guys still kind of thinking, well, I'm really into the tech as well. Interesting, isn't it? Even after all these years, decades later.
It's kind of how we had to do it, though. It's there wasn't a one-stop shop. There were no home theater in a box at the time. There wasn't a home theater receiver. It's like they had a receiver and stuff, but it was more for stereo and organizing your tape deck and your phone, you know, and everything like that. So there really wasn't anything there, and we were young, and we just graduated, and we might have had like 2 or 3 part-time jobs, so we making some money. So we're like, what do we do? And to this day, it's the same for you. It's the same idea. We wanted to get the most out of the movies, the experiences, and we want to duplicate that. But how did you do it? And now today, fast forward to today, and we're still into that because, I mean, there's always new technology, but that's what it's like. The tech isn't what got us going. It was the content that we wanted to be able to experience it the correct way, but we had to figure out how to do it. It's, you know, and then it's like when people started doing more and more, and like I said, it wasn't just John and I and stuff, but like a bunch of people are all doing this around the world. And as you start a podcast and you think you're the only one, and then next thing you know, you've got all these people talking to you going, I'm the same way. You know, and at the time we were John and I had each other, but after that, it was like, you'd have to go to like either Dave at the Laserdisc store or anything to find a sole person. So yeah. And it's, who knew?
Yeah.
I was just saying to someone the other day that I did a month of 12-hour days at a local hardware store, right? Earning the princely sum of £3.50 an hour. And I did a month of 12-hour days, got about £1,000 at the end of it or thereabouts take home. And I blew £660 of it on a giant 29-inch Sony Trinitron.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
4:3 TV, and immediately invited all my friends round to play Star Fox and GoldenEye on the N64 on 4 split screen, making it even smaller.
Oh, yeah.
But hey, it was cool.
Yep. Oh, yeah. It's, I mean, I was making ridiculously little money. My take home was probably maybe $300, $250, $300 a week. And laser discs were $40 to $50 each, and every Thursday I get paid and go buy 2 or 3. And it's like, there goes most of your paycheck. It's like, whoops. It's like, yeah. And it's, you know, I was the same way. I could work overtime, and that's how I would get, you know, a Laserdisc player or my Sony Trinitron, which was like $1,100 back in like 93, which today that'd be like, you know, $7,000 or something stupid. You know, it's crazy.
Well, when I got my 36-inch widescreen Sony Trinitron, that took 4 very burly men to get it into the house. And at this point, I was living with my parents, and I had the cinema room upstairs. So these poor so-and-sos had to lug this giant thing. It weighed more than I did, up the stairs, all 4 of them. They were brand new, and they got it up, put it on. And it turned out that it was a European version, and they hadn't sorted out the internals on it, so it wouldn't play properly. So they had to come back and take it back and swap it for another one.
Jeez.
But 36-inch, I mean, come on.
That's huge.
CinemaScope.
That's, and having it to be widescreen like that is like, that was huge. Not have the 4:3 aspect ratio is like, that was and the screen was flatter too. Right. It wasn't remember some of the Trinitrons, like the one that I got it was still rounded, but it was only curved in one direction, not like a regular tube TV, which was curved in like, you know, it was like a ball sitting in a box. It was like, yay. It's like, oh, this is a little flatter. Oh my God. Crazy.
Yeah, and my dad built a little platform for it to go up because I wanted it raised up. So when I was trying to explain to him, like, Dad, this thing is going to be very heavy indeed.
Right.
So you're going to have to build it strong. Did not want this thing falling on me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah. Oh man, those were they weren't the days, but they were some days.
They were the days, and they led to today. So without those days, we don't have today. So
True.
and so speaking of today, let me I'll bring this up as, I guess we could bring it up as an experience, right? This one. So this week I was gifted another home theater. Another home
theater.
It's a portable. He's already done the logo. I don't have it on me. He already redid the Bright Side logo for when this house sells. So let me bring these to the stage here. So this is the Bright Side homeless home theater. That's what he calls
homeless theater.
The homeless home theater. And he redid the logo, and you got to see it. There's detail.
Who's he? They don't know.
Oh, I'm sorry, Greg, my son-in-law, Greg. So Meg and Greg came by the house and showed me, they pulled the trailer up. So here we go. This is complete with a pull-down screen inside. The receiver's over it. It's a 4-1 system. There is a subwoofer in there. You can see behind the screen here. It's a projector on the back wall there. Speakers up on the side, and there's a version of it playing, I think.
I think that's mine.
Oh, that's yours? Okay. It was just in order, so I was like, okay. But he had sent me some pictures.
Just dropped it in the middle of...
That's the little... that's what it looks like. So like that door you crawl into, and you go in and you lay back on the other side, and he wants me to have... they're going to drop it off to me when I'm done with the deck, and we're going to park it underneath the deck. And that's an air conditioner you see on the front of it, complete with air conditioning. And I'm like, I'm already ready to start tweaking it. And it's just like, it's just fun. And it's like, add things. So he's got a 4-1, and he's like, I couldn't get, they bought the screen for this. He had some other speakers and stuff like that. So he wired it all up, and it looks, Paul saying, that's so cute. Rachel, the homeless home theater. I like it. It's awesome. So he wired it all up, and he goes, yeah, I could only do a 4.1 because they didn't have a acoustically transparent screen in this size. And then I look at the top, and I'm like, well, you could slide the receiver over to the side and put the speaker up there. He's like, oh yeah, we could do that. Yeah. So we're probably going to do that, and we'll make it a complete 5-1 system. And like I said, there's a little subwoofer in the corner. So he took it back home that day, and he said he was in the backyard. He's like just watching movies on it and sitting there. He's like, it's so much fun. But yeah, I'll have that on the property. Huh?
When's the stadium seating being delivered?
There's no stadium seating. Your legs touch like the screen. Yeah. Like you lay down and sit there, but you can. I mean, it's comfortable in there. It's like you're just sitting there, but it's like have it on, on site, be able to sit down, watch a movie. And Beth,
yeah,
where can I order one? The irony with that is, that's a great question, Beth. The irony with that is when Greg was a freshman, he built his own little theater in a box type thing. So for a dorm room, and he wanted to, with a projector on the wall, and everything would, work out. He did it as a class project on how to market it. And then now he's doing this. And I'm like, oh man, what if we can just really get this going and be able to go around and do demos? And he's even like, you could bring your Kaleidoscape, like, which one is it? The M or V? Not the V. But the M, bring your M in. It's already downloaded. Just plug it in and just play off of that.
Yeah.
I'm like, yep, could do that. He's got a NVIDIA Shield running everything in there. So everything's running off of that. He's like, you can watch whatever you want. I'm like, oh, so that'll be fun. So between this and then Larissa getting me the glasses, I have no excuse not to see movies. I don't care if I have a home theater or a home or not. Like, I can watch them on the go. I can watch them. I can, trailer this if I wanted to, but I'll use this at the house. And I'm like, so pretty funny. Pretty funny.
Basically a multiplex then, isn't it? You've got all these different screens. Now showing in the trailer and the glasses.
Yeah. Well, the glasses could be the new multiplex. You just walk in, they hand you a pair of glasses, you just sit down anywhere.
Right.
Just sit. All these people just sitting there staring up in the sky, ducking. Oh wow, that guy must be watching in 3D. So,
it's very cool. It is really cool. Yeah. It's awesome and really, really nice. Such a cool thing for them to do as well.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah, this is their little camping trailer, but they're not going to be using it, so they decided to convert it into a homeless home theater. So I can't wait for you guys to see the logo. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, man.
It's like, the details that he added to it, I'll wait and when I can show it to you. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
pretty
awesome.
Cool. Everybody's stepping up when you start losing stuff. Have I watched anything in there?
Yeah.
No, not yet.
Oh,
no, I got to put the railings on. I'm going to have that done this week. And then once I get the railings done on the deck, I'll do that. I just didn't want to have it on the property under the deck and have something fall through it or me fall through it or something like that. So I just wanted to wait until I get that done. And then that area should be done. But we've been at the house a lot lately because if they want to show this house, we have to take the dogs and go over there. And we're hanging out on the deck or whatever. We got a table and chairs up there that used to be by the pool, and there's no railings, and the dogs are like, and Franklin with his seizures, he gets a little dizzy sometimes, and you don't want him going whoop because it's a good drop. So I was like, I got to get these railings done. So working on that right now.
No, it's a really cool idea. Megan Gregg
Isn't it?
Come up with a blinder there. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it was really cool, really cool. So, all right. You guys ready to get to a proper home theater experience here?
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's see. Where is not that one? There we go. All right, who wants to go first? What do you want to do first?
Doesn't matter. I've got only one, so
I've got a couple.
It's a cool one though.
It is.
Yeah, is that the one we've all watched?
No.
The one we're going to do at the
purple
end,
one
right?
there. The one that's purple.
Oh yeah. I can't wait for that. Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. All right.
Take your pick, man.
What's that one?
That one we've done. That was
done.
Dead Reckoning.
That one we've done. Well,
Yeah,
that's
not
not very exciting then. All right, let's do this one since I already brought it up. You want to do that?
Yeah.
There we go.
Alrighty. Okay, then. So this then is the American import of Law-Abiding Citizen in 4K and Dolby Atmos. Had to import it. No sign of it over here on 4K Blu-ray. And I've been meaning to get it for a while. It's been out over there forever. This is not new. So anyone in the US that wants to get it, you can pick it up cheaply, as I did, because I actually managed to import this for cheaper than a new 4K Blu-ray over here would cost. So yeah, as I say, 4K UHD Dolby Atmos. Now you guys will have seen this, I'm sure.
Yes.
Jamie Foxx, Gerard Butler must have done.
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Really?
Honestly, I don't remember. It's like
see if my recounting of the story then sounds familiar. But I'm sure you have. Say John had. I mean, I think everyone of a certain age would have seen this, I'm sure. Okay, so we have then Jamie Foxx and Gerard Butler. At the beginning of the movie, Gerard Butler is, as far as we know, a family man with a wife and a child. Right at the beginning, there is a home invasion, and this is right at the start, so it's not too much of a spoiler, and it's in the trailer. Bad things happen to his wife and daughter. They are dispatched very quickly, and Jamie Foxx, who is the up-and-coming ambitious...
So it's a Disney movie.
Yeah, that's it. There's lots of singing, and so what happens there, Jamie Foxx comes in, an ambitious, I think, assistant district attorney. I don't know. I think so. Anyway, so he comes in, and the perpetrators are quickly rounded up, and a deal is done whereby one of them, who is the main perpetrator, walks, and the other person then goes to jail. Gerard Butler's not very happy about this. But the deal is done. So he feels betrayed by the justice system, and 10 years then goes by, and then bad things start happening to the people involved. And we quickly realize, and again, it's in the trailer, Mr. Butler is not all who he seems to be and is out for vengeance. And then things happen from there. Now, does that not sound familiar, Deej? None of that? No?
Yes.
I was going to say, you would have seen, I'm sure you will. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a movie that I have seen a number of times. I saw it in theaters. I remember that. I had the English Blu-ray, but the English Blu-ray has lip sync issues, massive lip sync problems, always did. And so I've been waiting to replace this with the 4K version. But it's been a number of years since I've seen it. And I have to say, I had misremembered, I think, large chunks of this, because it's actually watching it as a 50-year-old and not a 30-something or whenever it was, or whatever it would have been, or an early 40-something. I came to this with slightly different sensibilities this time. And when I think last time it was all a bit jigsaw and a bit kind of, just a little bit kind of action with a bit of horror and all this stuff. And I kind of let it wash over me before. This time I felt its nastiness a bit more than I have before. And on IMDb, by the way, this is like at 33 out of 100. So most critics hated it. And I used to think it was quite good. But I must admit, watching it this time, it is nasty. Well, the tagline to the movie is justice at any cost. And the term fascist has been labeled, has been applied to this film. And I think, bearing in mind that's being thrown around a lot these days, that term. But I did find it distasteful for a lot of the movie. And I was surprised at that because, as I said, I've seen it a number of times. But I think it is a bit icky and it is a bit nasty. And I did wrestle with that a little bit. And I enjoyed it a bit less this time than I had before. I mean, I still finished it. I'll still keep it in the collection. But as I say, there are issues watching it, I found, as an older person, right? So, having watching it and looking at it with sharper eyes, I would say. But it is a movie. It's a good movie in terms of that. Now, in terms of how it looks and sounds, now the problem is this was the first movie I watched when I got back from having spent a number of days watching stuff on the glasses, and the series that I was watching, which is Kingdom, which we talked about briefly before the show, is really colorful. And look, now this movie has had lots of color drained from it. It was shot in Philadelphia in the middle of winter. It looks like so it's all very gray. And so it did seem very washed out in terms of its color palette. I think that's deliberate, but the detail levels are very good. Like Jamie Foxx has got lots of expensive suits, lots of wool coats, and you can see all of that really sharp. Yeah. But it does look drab, the movie, because it's been drained. The only time I think the colors really pop is, funny enough, in that shot that you see there, where there is an incident where flames engulf someone, and that does really pop and looks good. But otherwise it is quite drab looking, but it is very detailed. In terms of then the Atmos, it's really good. It's not reference. The bass kind of comes and goes. It's strong when there's a big 50 cal gun goes off at one point, and that's quite good. But other times it's a little bit muted until we get again to this scene here, where the flames come up the front of the screen and go up and over and up into the overheads, and they then sort of come down the back, and that sounds really good. And the bass you get a bass sweep, it creeps back into the room. But otherwise, it's quite a subdued movie, and it's not demo material. You're not going to pull this off the shelf to show off when you've got all the other discs we've mentioned previously. When you've got those, you don't need to go to this. So it does look good. It sounds decent for the type of film it is, but as I said, do beware. I think those coming to it, watching it below the surface level, might struggle a bit with some of this stuff. As I say, it is a bit icky, but I'm glad I've seen it, and as I said, I'll keep it in the collection. And yeah, worth revisiting if that sounds like something you want to see.
Yeah,
been quite some time. Yeah, I don't really remember it a whole lot, but.
Yeah, which is just this kind of this thing about, well, I feel that I've been poorly treated by the justice system, so now everyone's going to pay. Right. And the movie, I think, and I don't know, F. Gary Gray directed it. He's a brilliant director. I mean, he's done some great movies, but I get the impression that the film wants you to sympathize with Gerard Butler's approach. And that's wrong. I don't think there's any argument about it in my view, and I say that as a criminal defense lawyer.
Right.
Wow. It doesn't mean we don't believe in the law. It's quite the opposite.
Right.
And I think that yeah, and so I have some issues with that sensibility. I might be wrong about that. I haven't spoken to F. Gary Gray about it, but I think the movie wants you to sympathize with justice at any cost. And what is justice?
Isn't that the basis of John Wick?
Well, yeah, but he was an assassin.
They've got a whole franchise based on somebody killing his dog.
Well, yeah, but he does so in self-defense subsequently, doesn't he? I mean, he's attacked and he responds. This is someone who is setting out to kill and set traps and to maim innocent people who are not other assassins. You know, this is innocent, in inverted commas, whatever you think innocent means. Right. It's and whatever you think justice is, and
whatever will set you off, and killing your wife and kid.
Yeah, well, indeed. But what is justice? I mean, just because I think something is just does not mean it should be allowed.
Right. Oh, yeah. That's why you're tried by a jury of your peers, not the person that you you wronged.
Yes, exactly.
That's not good. That's where eye for an eye came from.
Yeah, quite. And this one, I think, is saying, well, it's all right because he's been wrong, so it's
it's a movie, and it's it's like it'd be kind of a boring movie if it literally followed law-abiding citizen. Steve, I think you'd be pretty upset and be like, oh my God, his wife and kids were killed. And then they talked him down, and that was the end of the movie. I was like, what am I doing there? He's literally, his barbecue grill blew up in this shot right here. He was making hot dogs. It was so boring.
So Paul says, interestingly, I mean, this could be a show in and of itself, guys, about these sorts of movies.
Exactly. Is it just Death Wish?
Is it not just Death? No, not really, because Paul Casey in that. Was it Paul Casey? That his name? I think it was. Anyway, obviously Charles Bronson. Is it Casey? Oh, I can't remember. Anyway, he again is targeting the people that he thinks are responsible, and from what I remember, they were thugs and gangsters and all the rest of it. In this film, he goes after people who were not involved, who don't actually have anything to do with it, and things happen that are very bad. And as I say, the movie, I think, is justifying that. And that's where I just, it just didn't quite sit well with me. In my view, I mean, it's just my view. You don't have to watch it that way.
I try not to get my morals from movies.
What? What? All right, so but so anyway, so there are issues with it, but it's as a film and a home theater experience, then it's decent, and you can get it cheaply. Funnily enough, John, it came with, because it's American, of course, it came with a digital code. This will tell you how long it's been out.
It
came with a digital code, and as soon as it came out, I thought, I've got a John, brilliant. And I looked at it, and it said, will not be available after 2020.
Oh, jeez. 2020, huh?
Ripped it up. Yeah, I'll fine.
Yeah, so it's definitely not new.
No, it's been out a while.
But even with your reservation about the story, it's like I still.
Oh yeah, good man. Yeah,
it's on Kaleidoscape in 4K HDR, so with Atmos too. Yeah, so. Yeah,
there's a discussion to be had about what it's saying. I've read it one way, but
it's just fun too. It's also action, along with all the other, Olympus Has Fallen, London Has Fallen. They're all just fun action movies.
Well, what's the link between, you mentioned Olympus Has Fallen, what's the link between Jamie Foxx and Gerard Butler along those lines? Both are in movies where the White House is taken. Of course, Jamie Foxx was in White House.
Was it White House? No.
So we had Olympus Has Fallen, White House Down. Yeah, he was.
Wasn't he? White House Down.
Yeah, with Channing Tatum. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. So, maybe I'll take that in the trailer with the Kaleidoscape M or whatever. Whichever.
Done.
There we go. All right.
You'll be checking to make sure there aren't any explosives around the vehicle.
All right. Let's see. All right, John, you want to do your yours?
That'll be done after that.
Well, I've only got one other, and then
all right. Okay.
Then that one.
I'll keep you going for this.
It's whatever.
What, you want to do another one, Steve?
If you want. I don't want to impose, fellas.
Let's see.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. You were gone last week, so you've got.
Yeah, that's right too. What do you want to do next?
that we could do a twofer with our hockey mask wearing friend. Could do one.
Oh, there we go. These ones lead off with this one.
Yep, can do. Yeah, and we'll go in order.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, that one. Yep.
Here we go.
Okay.
What he said.
Nope, not that one. There we go. That was a fat finger. Sorry about that.
It would have been awkward if that was popcorn popping, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Still looking.
Still looking. Okay, so this, as you might have guessed from that picture, and sorry, it's a pretty gruesome one. I just quite like that. This is Friday the 13th, although it's not mentioned. Part 9, although it's not mentioned. The title is Jason Goes to Hell, the unrated cut, which has just recently been released here. So it's an Arrow disc, you can tell from the little bar along the bottom. And they released this and Jason X on the same day on 4K disc and in DTS HD 5.1. And as I mentioned earlier, I am a ginormous Friday the 13th fan. And, as soon as these were coming out over here, I immediately swooped and picked them up. Now, I think I know the answer to this, guys. Have you seen this?
No.
Is this one?
Not.
And I get why.
I ducked out after like 3, I think.
Oh, I get that. I get that. As I said, I loved them. I spent the late 80s, and then even though I was way too young, watching these, and then have carried on with them. And as I said, I love them. I know them all backwards. And this is one of the ones regarded as being one of the worst. I personally don't agree with that, but that's what many people say. So the story on this one then is this. Jason is finally killed. He's captured, he's killed, all's well. That's the end of the story. This happens in the first 5 minutes. So that must be the end of that then. No, turns out that Jason's parts can actually infect other people who then take on his aura and then start killing people. And so what happens is in the movie, various people become possessed by Jason's spirit and start killing people in various ways. Yes, it's that bad. And I mean, there's no point in me saying otherwise. It's a ridiculous concept, stupid story, but I rather like it. So the movie's the movie. And again, I mean, don't even go looking on IMDb for the ratings on this. I don't know if they do minus ratings. If they do, this will probably be there. I haven't even looked because I knew. So the film is just as dopey and fun if you like this kind of thing as I do, as it's always been. And I'm just amazed that somehow they got the rights to even produce this, because no one else is asking for this apart from me, I think, and maybe Jordan. So it's come out. Now it does look in 4K very nice compared to its previous incarnations. This is, again, not a movie you're going to be demoing for anybody, but it does look decent. It's very dark compared to other movies, but if you've got your set properly calibrated, it looks really good. It is detailed. It's fairly sharp. It sounds okay for what it is. It was an ultra low budget movie. This had just come off of Friday the 13th Part 8, which was Jason Takes Manhattan, which is my personal low watermark for this series. And that film had bombed massively. And so they did not spend a lot of money on this. They were not sure whether this was going to do anything at all. And you can tell in the sound design. There are some times where you get little spirity things, a bit Raiders of the Lost Ark flying around, and they do move, and up next to Neural X, you can hear that. But you're not choosing this for the audio. It is decent note. And if you're a fan, like I am, then this is the way to own it. But don't get buying it, if you haven't seen it, because just rent it first if you're curious. But if you have seen it, you like it, then you pick this up, because it is bonkers. And it does have, though, one of the very cool little end tag scene that, for fans of these and a certain other very popular horror franchise of the 1980s, there is a nice little crossover at the very end, which you guys might know about, even if you haven't seen the film.
Yeah.
So a little thing happens at the end, which is very cool. So yeah, I recommend it if you're a fan.
If you're a fan.
Don't go near it otherwise.
No.
That's
I dropped out fairly early. And the first ones came out when we were probably too young to see them anyways. And then when we were old enough.
81. Yeah.
Yeah. And 10 and 11 years old around that time. So,
the first one I saw that was Well, no, it must have been Friday the 13th Part 1. I mean, it would have been in New Zealand. Now, I was 9 when I left, so I must have seen Part 1 when I was about 6 or 7.
Wow.
That's why I'm so messed up, guys.
Yeah. So that explains quite a bit.
That's the reason.
Child
right.
trauma.
Can we get to the next one?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, moving swiftly on then. Now that we've done Part 9, let's go to Part 10. Jason X. Get it? 10? Yeah, X. There we go.
Exactly.
Part 10. 2001, this came out. So that's quite a big gap. The last one was 93. Again, didn't do very well. It was not good. Jason Goes to Hell. And so we wait till 2001 and then we get this. Sorry about the picture, by the way. It looks dreadful. Moving menus. Apologies for that. So this again is in 4K UHD, DTS HD 5.1, upmixed to Neuron X. Came out same day as Jason Goes to Hell. And I watched them back to back because I want to do that.
Yeah.
And this is the movie you mentioned, John.
He does that all by himself, everybody. It's like nobody made him do it.
He didn't have a gun to my head or a machete.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. I would have taken the machete.
Yeah, well, yeah, to the face, it would have been probably more interesting.
Exactly.
So this movie is, Jason Goes to Space. I mean, you know they're running out of ideas. And that's what happens. And
had enough fun on the planet. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is a film that a good friend of mine watched it and said it's the worst movie he's ever seen, not having seen the others. And although interestingly with this, there used to be a store. Paul Hurt will probably know this actually in the chat. There used to be a store in London called the Cinema Store. It's St. Martin's Place in London. And it was a proper memorabilia shop. And by the way, in the basement of that shop, they used to sell American Blu-rays, which was great because it was very, very unusual that you could buy them over the counter. And lots of celebrities used to visit and buy these discs from the basement. Right? It's illegal to sell them here, but because they're not classified. Anyway, that's by the by. But what they also used to do is they also used to sell scripts. And I remember going in there because it was the first stop. Whenever I went to London, I'd go straight to the Cinema Store. And I remember on this one day in this glorious summer of what must have been 99, 2000, there was in this script box, the script for Jason X. Now, as a Friday the 13th fan, bear in mind the movie hadn't been made at that point. You can tell it's pre-internet. I was like, oh my God. So I bought the script and I vividly recall going to a park, beautiful sunny day, and reading cover to cover this script. and in this was all kinds of cool stuff where there's this massive attack of these kids are attacked by mechanical spiders and all this stuff happens. And there's these massive action sequences before you get to Jason. And of course, they didn't have the budget for any of that. So all that just got jettisoned. And all we've got is a very run-of-the-mill story where Jason is captured. He is frozen. 150 years go by or whatever it is. And then suddenly we're in space. And these kids visit Earth, find him, decide to keep him because they think he's a goalie. Because they know about hockey. Yeah, I know. And so they take him into their spaceship because, of course, it's all space now. And then he, is reanimated and things happen. I mean, yeah, there we go. So imagine my disappointment when there were no mechanical spiders. Although to speak to Kevin Smith about that. So anyway, so the movie is very cheesy, very rote. There are some quite interesting-ish kills in it, kind of. The effects are dreadful. I mean, they were quite bad then because, again, ultra low budget CGI. This is the first one that had CGI in them, and it's terrible. It's like, your Deep Space Nine, the cheapest kind of episodes of that.
Right. Yeah,
that kind of CG. It's not
like you got a low budget, so let's go to space.
Yeah,
where you can't really just like shoot practically. Like on location.
Oh, it's just, and it it really does look dated now. It did then, but really does now. And the 4K does not help with that. Now it was shot bizarrely. Now this, again, I might be wrong on this. I don't think I am because I did read it. Now they shot it with 35mm film as they would have done in 2000, of course, because we'd had the Phantom Menace, but we weren't shooting digitally at that point. But apparently they shot it with 35mm film, but then did a digital into negative, so to then add the effects to it. So it's this weird digital look to it, which it's always had, and the 4K just brings that out even more, and so it does look odd, but it's detailed as much as you can have. The colors look good. It's the best it's ever looked, as it should be. I mean, it's an Arrow release, as I say, and it sounds pretty good. Again, you know, within the confines of what you've got, there is a point where he is upgraded. Again, it's in the trailer, and so once that all happens, there's sparks all flying around, and you can hear a bit of that in the surrounds. I mean, it's all right. Again, you're not buying this for a cinema demo. You're not buying this to wow your friends. You're buying it if you like the movie, or if you're a Friday the 13th completist, and I'm a bit of both. Well, more completist than like the movie, but I don't hate the movie. So it's all right. And again, the fact that they've released it is a minor miracle. And if you're a fan, pick it up, but you know, just don't expect the Earth or indeed space. Before you get it. But I'm glad I've got them, and they're going in the collection, and I will dig them out again at some point because I'm sad like that. But yeah, it's worth seeing.
All right, yeah. You sold me. Yeah. Not really.
Yeah, no, I don't hear the cha-ching. So
yeah, no, I can't find it. Where'd it go? I think I got rid of that button.
On Kaleidoscape, they give you money.
Yeah.
We've got some love for this, though, in the chat, in fairness. I am surprised. Okay, all right. So what have we got? So Dom says Jason X was lots of fun, though. Fair play, Dom. Okay. Man after my own heart. Okay.
There you go.
Rach says it was a good movie. I watched it when I lived in Scotland. Okay. Did it come with a deep fried Mars bar? Probably not. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
British thing. TSG says I laughed hard during the sleeping bag scene. Yeah. Which of course is redone in the remake in 2009. And Paul, he does know it. I thought he would. Yeah. So yes, didn't stop by as often as I should have. He's talking about the cinema store, and I regret that. Use it or lose it. Yeah, it's been closed. It shut a number of years ago, and many tears were shed. It was so cool. I used to love going into the basement, and the guy in there was a home theater fan. Deej, you loved him. And if you started talking to him even slightly about it, he got very excited and would give you discounts.
Oh yeah.
I very quickly discovered this.
Yeah. That'd be me if I had it. That's why I'm broke. It's like, all right, you should just have it. Yeah,
well, that might be why it's shut.
Yeah. Yeah. Jeez.
There we go. But there it is.
All right. Glad we got through that. No. Oh God. All right. Let's see. All right, John, you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
I can go. It doesn't matter.
All right. Let's see. I'm gonna pull this one up, and then I got a different poster for you. Then, boom, bam, bam, bam. I got the actual real. Here we go.
Ooh.
The actual. Let's do. Here we go. Oh, there we go. And
all right. So this coming to you straight from the world of John Wick is Ballerina in theaters now. So my wife and I went to see this morning, and this movie is awesome. It is great. It should be doing all the money, even though it's not. And that's unfortunate because this had a very soft opening weekend. And this is a movie that very much wants to be a franchise and wants to have multiple installments. And hopefully, because I've heard nothing but good things since the release. So hopefully word of mouth will propel this movie forward a bit and give it some life, because I mean, I think worldwide it did about $50 million in its opening weekend. And I don't know, it has, typical John Wick budget. So I'm sure it cost an arm and a leg to make this movie. But this movie is great. Like I highly recommend you both going to check this out if you get the opportunity, because I know we're all fans of John Wick and the franchise. Yeah, I mean, I could wax on forever on this, but it was really a lot more than I was hoping for with this. The action sequences, it has, I mean, we're all used to what we get with John Wick, and this does not disappoint. And it has some very cool sequences with some flamethrowers and smoke bombs. There's some really cool sequences here that again should be seen on the big screen if you can. I say this every time I go to the theaters. I do not go to the, this is not playing on the Dolby Atmos. This was even on opening weekend, this took second fiddle to Lilo and Stitch, I think, which has all the good theaters still. So this, even at the Cinemark, this is playing on one of the side screens, not on the big XD screen, unfortunately. But all that being said, we know what these films are like when they come home on disc, and this should not be any different. I mean, I don't know how many. Yeah, I don't know how many other ways to say it. Go see it.
It's on Top Theater right now. It plays at 7:15 tonight.
Oh man! If you have time,
I don't. I know
we'll
be here.
Oh, is it?
We'll be here. It's at 7:15.
Oh, what is that?
So that's 15 minutes after the show ends.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's. But then tomorrow, another movie. I just looked at tomorrow. It's out of that theater by tomorrow.
Is it?
So yeah, and it's and I've been looking, trying to, but it hasn't just worked out for me to get to place. Like it rained today, and I took in some stuff here because I was able to take in what I took in today. But other than that, I hadn't watched anything.
And I don't even know again, and you're gonna have to juggle between whether you want to go. Well, and maybe you've seen it already. I don't know, but. Between Mission Impossible or Ballerina, because I know you don't get a lot of time to go to the theaters.
Right.
Go see Ballerina.
Yeah.
It is infinitely more fun. I mean, not to take away from Mission Impossible, because it was fun too, but this is just such a ride through the whole thing, and it's really, really good.
Can I ask John, how many times does she fall down the steps? Before going back? That's what I really want to know.
There's no big step scene. This being
it is only 2 hours and 6 minutes.
Yeah, this being the first installment of Ballerina. It doesn't have to keep one-upping itself yet. So by the time you get to Ballerina 4, that's when you'll be falling down the steps a few times. But as funny as it is to say, this didn't seem quite as outrageous as like John Wick 4. Where some of those fight scenes seem to go on for like half the movie. This wasn't quite there yet. But yeah, it's definitely, again, if you're a fan of the franchise, this is a must watch, and it's no spoilers. He's right on the poster. You do see Mr. Wick in this film, and he's pretty well served here in this movie as well. So
does he have angel wings and a halo?
Well, no, this takes place between John Wick 3 and 4.
Oh.
So it has not answered the question of whether he survived, even though we all know that he did. This takes place before John Wick 4 does. So.
Okay. All right. Nice. Okay. At any point, does she say to him, "Watch your step"? Or anything like that? No. Those steps, they're a bitch.
No mention of the dog or anything like that, but and she has no dogs. There's no pets. She's avenging, but yeah, like I said, it's a lot of fun. Okay.
Cool. I imagine if it's gone so quickly from theaters, then DJ's going to be dropping on Kaleidoscope any minute, isn't it?
I would hope.
Well, it won't be out of your theater. It's just out of the big screen.
Out of the big screen.
Out of the better screen.
It's not in the, it goes out of the top screen. And it's a pretty good showing here. The theater that I have close to me it's not a Dolby Cinema, but it's pretty damn close. It's really,
again,
really
it's Cinemark. It's still not, it's not like I saw it on a 13-inch screen or anything. I mean, it was still, pretty decent. It's the audio that you kind of give up more than anything.
Yeah, this one has Atmos. I have the Atmos. So it's decent.
Because
it doesn't have the bass of a Dolby Cinema, but it does have a really good Atmos.
Even for us on the better screen at Cinemark, it's XD. It's not Atmos, so it's I don't have an Atmos theater anywhere nearby. But
I'm looking forward to seeing it. But I have a funny feeling though I'll have to wait for this.
You'll have to wait. Yeah.
Yeah. I just can't get the time to go either. It seems.
I mean, pre-orders already. I actually just pre-ordered this while we were on the show. because I saw it pop up on.
Yeah, I already bought it on Kaleidoscape too.
I don't know what the date is though. It doesn't say. It's just pre-order.
Yeah, it won't be long. Won't be long. I wouldn't have thought. All right.
Hopefully. Although again, I hope it. I really would like to see this get some legs in the theater because I want a sequel, and I don't know that we'll get a sequel if it doesn't make.
Yeah, that's a good point right there. Jordan, Ballerina is probably losing the premium screen so soon because of How to Train Your Dragon movie. Right.
And like I said, and I know for us here in my theater, it's Lilo and Stitch is playing all day on that theater because that's making all the money. So
it's that time of year too, where it's like the next week is another blockbuster coming out. And the people that are, big fans of going to the movies, they're going to see it in the first week. And if you don't see it in that week, it's still going to sell. And the people there's people that go that don't even know the difference between the top theater and the lowest theater. They just think it's okay. It's a little bit smaller room, but okay.
But I think the problem is, well, not the problem, but what surprises me is like that the John Wick fans weren't here for this. Like this is the worst opening since John Wick 1. Every 2, 3, and 4 all made infinitely more money. And if you're a fan of the franchise, I'm not quite sure why they didn't turn out for this movie.
I've got an idea.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm not saying I agree with it, but
no. Yeah. It's, it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it will be unfortunate if we don't get more of these because she did a great job. And the directors, everybody was great, and the story was good. So, I really want to see where it would go. So,
no. Just from the chat. So Steve At says it's currently at 7.3 on IMDb. I think it's going to go up from there. Paul says lots of interviews and press. Sounds like it was made with the right motivations, which I think is right. Jordan says it's a must-watch. I think exactly as you said, John. The John Wick fans. And Don has pre-ordered the limited edition in France, which will have a Blu-ray with the Wick is Pain documentary.
Nice.
That is interesting. That I've seen a fair bit of that. That's actually really good. So and then Paul gives us a Rise of Skywalker reference somehow. John Wick returned.
Right.
So it's all good. And then I think Paul says I've got an idea too, Steve. Yeah, I mean, and says it's depressing. Indeed, I think we're all on the same page with that as to what we think. There it is. I'm looking forward to this. I'll buy this on disc day one. I really like the John Wick movies, but I just don't think I'll get to the theaters before it disappears.
Same here. Unfortunately, it's like I could see it in a lesser theater, but it's just like. But at this point, I might not even have this theater by the time I get it. So who knows? It's
right.
That's going to be weird. Joe Klosnick saying it's $29.99 on Kaleidoscape to buy it early. So,
don't tell a certain friend of ours on YouTube, Deej.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, when you buy the premium and
Well, for anybody else out there that's listening and hasn't seen it and likes the franchise, try to go throw some dollars its way.
Yeah,
because DJ, just buy some tickets.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just get online.
You bought 3 sets of tickets for Mission Impossible. So.
I did everything I could to promote that one. So, all right, you're right. Absolutely.
So just buy some tickets and then don't
buy some tickets. I'll buy a row.
At least that way we get a sequel.
Buy a row. There you go. Jeez, I wonder why I'm broke.
Buy out a couple theaters and just
This guy sees everything. No, he doesn't. He just buys them. Oh well. All right. Let's get to the only one I have this week for just me seeing it. John, I know you've seen this, but I don't know if Steve has yet. But let's. Oops, I got to remove that.
Oh, I don't think I know what it is. Yeah, not yet. Not yet.
Yeah. So, Sinners. John saw it in theaters. It dropped on Kaleidoscape last week, and I was shocked it dropped that early. It was, I felt like this was going to take a while, because it was so popular, and, but here it is. And I got to tell you, it's right now, it is literally, it's up there with Warfare for home theater of the year. experience of the year.
That's awesome.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's, I was hoping going into it that it was going to be good. I haven't heard a bad thing about the movie itself, the story and everything. It's just, it's riveting, but the home theater experience, it does have variable aspect ratio. I can't wait to watch it again. And see kind of like what do I haven't really figured out exactly what the variable aspect ratios mean. But there is a meaning there. I have an idea, but I want to see it again, much like kind of like, pair of ducks. When you see it a second time, you're really like, oh my God, it's super noticeable. But story aside, everybody's raved about the story, how good of a story. It's an original. It seems original. It isn't actually. It feels like an original take on something. We have seen this movie before, I'll say that, but this one is way better. I won't compare it to what it was because that'll give everything away. But the home theater experience, the variable aspect ratios, is just awesome. So the black levels change at times in this movie. Like when they have, it's almost like, what's the low, like the tightest I think they use on this is like a 239 or something. It's really small. Like I set up mine for like a 240, my masking. If I had that up, it would have been narrower than that. So whatever it is, I can't remember the aspect ratios off the top of my head, whatever it is, most of the movies in that. And then when they go to, full 178 and fills your screen, it's just gorgeous and it means something. It's like, what? Your room lights up, the scenes, but it's on some of the shots when they're in tight, meaning the wider aspect ratio, some of it gets a little bit like murky at times, but then they'll take another shot and the black levels clean up a little bit. But I think it's just more of the way they're shooting the movie, but it doesn't take you out of the movie because you're just so enthralled with it. But when they do go to the full screen 178, it's just the detail and the everything. It's just gorgeous. Okay. The sunrise, they show suns a lot. They show the sky for stuff like this. It's just, it's just so good looking that by the end of the movie, you're going to be, I would say, the video, you're going to say, all right, that was very, very good. It's not referenced, but it was very, very good. But where it makes up for it is in the audio track. And the bass in this movie is, dare I say, at times Lucy levels, but tactile in the music. The music that they're using in this makes you, there's one particular scene, an hour into this movie, where you're just like, what the blankety blank was going on? You want to get up and dance. It was just, I think John knows the scene I'm talking about, but it's like the first time in a movie where the music actually means it. They show you what the music means in this movie. And it just makes you want to get out of your seat. And it's like, you could feel it. And there were times in this movie where the people are like stomping their feet to the music. And I felt my floor was going like people were stomping my floor. The bass was that nice. Now I'm on a riser. I have one SVS 2000 behind me and another one in the front of the room. And it felt like my riser was like the dance floor, like boom, boom, boom. It is just awesome. There's some scenes where they use the full room. Things go on, voices are made, and they use the full room. And that's why I was like, when this comes out on physical media and the three of us are talking about, I'll probably have watched it a few times by then. And when we sit down to talk about this, it's just going to be, I think it's up there for our home theater experience of the year based on the audio alone and how they utilized it. And it was just so good.
It's a day one buy for me. I can't wait to see it. It can't. I think it's Jordan will know, but I think it's kind of July, mid-July, late July, something like that here. It's a while yet, but day one. And again, it's appointment viewing. Clear the schedule, not schedule, and give it a watch.
Yeah. It's. It is awesome, and the the job that they do with Michael B. Jordan is awesome. You'll when you see that, yeah, it's how they do it. They kind of show off the technology, like in one of the opening scenes, and you'll see, like, if you've been watching movies as long as we have, you're going to be like, now how the heck? And I mean, you should be able to do anything nowadays anyways, but knowing what you used to not be able to do and what you can do today and what they did here I don't want to spoil it, but what they do here, it's such a little tiny thing, and I can't wait for all of us to talk about it later, and we'll talk about it then, but they did something that not only would you not do with a double like this, but it was almost a no for a single actor to do what was going on here because of the continuity issues. And they did this here. So it was really cool. And that's a tech thing, knowing movies and watching, different things. Though that, as a matter of fact, what I'm talking about right now, if anybody watched Usual Suspects and you listen to the audio commentary, they mentioned that exact thing I'm talking about right now. And they said why you don't have an actor doing these things in a movie to that degree, because it kind of ruins the editing is tough with continuity. So you'll see. And it was pretty cool. But again, the audio is just, I'm thinking just off the top of my head, I'm thinking of some other scenes that are full scene. There's one at the beginning of the movie, characters pull up in this takes place in the 30s. So they pull up in like a Model T or whatever it is. Right. And the detail, the raindrops on the hood, in the color, everything you could see on the car, it was gorgeous. Then at the end of the movie, same car, different character pulling up, but it's not in the 178. And you could still see some of that detail, but you get an appreciation for what you got. Just fans like us will notice that stuff, right? Most people won't notice this stuff. But I can't wait to watch it again. I really can. And it's 217, but didn't feel like 217. Don't get up. It feels like the trailers go on. Let it play and then go up, keep watching. And then there is a little bit more later.
There's a little mid-credit.
Yeah.
Scene.
Mid-credit scene that after the movie is over, you're like, it was a bit of a tearjerker at the end. And when you see it, it wasn't what you would normally think would be a tearjerker for me. It was like, there's two scenes at the end and one got me more than the other. And it was really good. But yeah, home theater experience of the year. One of them so far.
At the end, is the mid-credit scene where they decide to call themselves the New Avengers.
Yeah.
And the Fantastic Four show up.
Yeah.
Different movie.
Haley Steinfeld, awesome. She was. What'd you think, John?
Good, isn't it?
Oh yeah, she was great.
Yeah. She's awesome. Yeah. It was. I mean, it's such a good movie. She was. Oh my God, she was so good. Michael B. Jordan, just incredible. It just so good. This and Warfare, I'm having a hard time. There's two completely different movies, but home theater wise, I'd have to watch them both back to back to decide right now. It's that tight. It's that tight.
That's cool. I mean, I figured it would be great from the theater experience, but I'm glad to hear that it, that it is, because it should have been,
Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah. All right. That will do it for that. All right. What do we want to get to? Do we want to get to?
I think we want to end, right?
We're not going to get to do what we were going to do. I don't think we're not going to have time.
Well, we could just do a few minutes of one if we just did. Where did it go? If we just did a little bit of it and then we did some spoilers after. But you want to just get to it?
Yeah, because I've got a bit of a hard out again, guys, on assessing tomorrow. So yeah.
All right. So why don't we do that then? Actually, I have it here. And we'll bring your image up first. That's your image, right, Steve?
Yeah, that's one. Yeah. Well, I didn't draw it. It was online.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, we'll lead off with that one because I got a bit to talk about, and we don't have to do spoilers. I got quite a bit to talk about this without spoilers too, because I watched it in two versions of the conversation that we had. So let's hit it. Whoop, wrong one.
Okay, who's going first?
Steve, your image. Hit it.
Go on then. All right, my image again. I didn't draw it though. Okay, so just so we're all clear. All right, this is, you might have heard of this. This is Predator, Killer of Killers. Now, we said week before last that Batman Ninja is a cool title.
Yeah.
Now, Predator, Killer of Killers is kind of up there as well.
Yeah.
It is.
It just sounds cool. Alrighty. So it's out on Disney Plus over here, Hulu over there, but Hulu's now properly taken over by Disney. So depending on our text chain, I wasn't quite sure. Is it or is it not on Disney Plus over there? Maybe.
It's Hulu.
It's it's on.
It's Hulu over here, but it's on the, like, if you open Disney Plus, it is actually on the menu there, but it takes you to Hulu to actually watch it.
Okay.
So,
all right. And so over here then, so Disney Plus here, because we don't have Hulu, and it's in 4K UHD and it's in Dolby Atmos. So yeah.
Right.
Now
so this is
go on.
Well,
sorry,
just to elaborate a little bit more on that, it's so John watched it on Stars with the VPN.
Well, I watched it on Disney Plus.
But it's like
the adult.
But Star is the
right,
adult version, right? And so there it is. Like I did the same thing. I used a VPN, got Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos, on with the Disney Plus from
the
England.
UK. Right.
From the UK, and then I also took in a whole bunch of the scenes on the Hulu version here, and I'll have more on that in a little bit. But yeah, so why don't we go ahead?
So this dropped it over here at 8 a.m. on Friday morning, and it's always based on Pacific time, it seems. So of course, midnight Pacific time on the 6th of June was 8 a.m. here, because we're 8 hours ahead. So dropped at 8 o'clock, and at literally 8:00:01
I was watching it.
yeah. Now I was elsewhere, so this was first watch was on the glasses. I was not about to wait to get home. These movies, Predator, again back to 87 video shop. I'd read the novelization before the movie came out, even though the movie's completely different. And, I'm a massive fan of this. So I was not going to wait. So I watched it on the glasses and loved it. Really, really enjoyed it. And the movie it's sort of an anthology movie, kind of, where you've got three different things. It's in the trailer again. I don't think I'm spoiling anything. So you've got an opening sequence called The Shield, which is Predators versus Vikings. Then you've got the middle bit, which is called The Sword, which is then Predator versus Ninja and Samurai.
Oh, so good.
What's not to love? You get the third bit, which is then called The Bullet. Which is then Predators versus World War II pilots, and then they're all connected at the end, and then we get a cool bit at the end, which I won't spoil because that's not in the trailers.
Right.
And so I loved it. I really enjoyed it first time, but then as soon as I got back on Saturday afternoon, made a beeline for the cinema room and rewatched it this time. No, because obviously on the glasses it's 1080p spatial audio. This was then in full 4K Dolby Atmos, and it's a really different experience. And it just talk about delivery system enhancing it. Boy, oh boy. So I watched it again and loved it again. And this is great. And what a cool idea. And I thought it was fantastic. So that's the movie. So you guys want to chime in on that, and then we can talk the experience if you like.
Yeah, I can't add a ton to it. I loved it as well. I thought it was great. Now, I've only taken it in once, where both of you have seen it twice, I guess. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was great. Without giving any spoilers. I mean, obviously it brings a bunch of new mythology to the world of Predator, which is super cool. And as far as I know, is all new concepts. Even, I've read a lot of comics and things like that as well. And there's some new stuff here that, I've never seen before. So it's definitely worth the watch. I guess to rank them all, I found the Bullet the weakest of the three story-wise. For me personally, I thought the first two were much better. But again, just my personal take on that. And yes, the end 30 minutes or so, I won't talk about either. But obviously
that's what got us going.
Yeah, was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like all I'll add to that is, I mean, echo everything you guys just said, but I'll add to it that, you know, what we were talking about, the three of us, before we started the show was like, we want to get to this and do like a spoiler segment where we could, you know, run the popcorn sounder. Found it, Steve. There it is.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Oh,
there it is. But anyways, we were going to run that and be able to talk spoilers because it was so good that it brings up so many questions, the story, like ideas of what could happen in the future. And there's so much to it. So like, as a fan of the Predator series, I mean, absolutely get this in because I think there's going to be so much more to come in the future based off of this and all the others. But the experience itself, well, if I wanted to rank them, I probably would say the ninja one in the middle was my favorite. I just love the idea of the ninja stealthy and, you know, the Predator can be invisible, kind of stealthy. I mean, I just love the comparison of the two. And it's just right away. I mean, growing up, there's something about ninjas, you know, and it was a good story.
Yeah.
But John, I would say let's get to the experience part because I want to say that the bullet and the planes at the end had some of the best home theater experience parts, although the ninja one did too as well, with the swinging of some weapons and things going around, like literally over your head, around, swinging around the room,
Right.
doing stuff like that. And here's where I had an absolute blast with this. Like I said, I watched it both the VPN from the UK and the 5.1 Dolby Vision 4K here. And I got to tell you, the 5.1 upmixed had a more dynamic. You did not lose any of the spatial, like awareness,
Right.
the audio that you would get with the Atmos track. And the Dolby Vision was brighter. The scenes were better. Yeah, it was a noticeable difference that I was like, oh my God, there's a couple of scenes I saw things I didn't see the first time. Now that, as I've said before,
that's just because of we're going through the VPN and we're throttled a little bit?
Could be. I mean, my VPN, I'm pulling in like 100, maybe just under 100 megs, which anything you're watching, you should be able to get through that anyways. But I don't know.
I'll check it out.
I don't know. I
I
thought it was a noticeable difference picture wise. Like the picture was brighter. The brights were brighter. And I wanted to say I was going to say like the blacks were deeper, but if the brights are brighter, the blacks are going to appear to be deeper. I don't know if that's the case. Right. But it's like, if your eyes like, oh my God, that's wicked bright. But what I was going to say is I don't know if I noticed things just because it was a second viewing.
Time around.
You know, the second time around, you're like, I didn't see that before. It's like, it could be the same thing. You know, it could be the same. But
I know the VPN
to me
does throttle things slightly, but
yeah,
I've never noticed, like I've watched a lot of things that way and I've never really felt like I was missing out, but I've never gone back and compared them.
Yeah. I also did have to, I boosted mine plus 6 dB to get a really good experience
on
on both. Okay, they were both equal at plus 6. I watched the entire movie first with the Dolby Atmos track with the UK version, and then went back and just scrolled through to scenes and watching it the second time. And it was, I mean, I wanted to sit there and just keep going. It was that much more engaging. I was surprised that it was that much, more, especially with the picture part. It was, but I also want to say that the bass, if you go up plus 6 dB of your normal listening, I listen at reference, so I did literally go to plus 6. But if you normally listen at, minus 10,
I listen at minus 6, which is
so go to reference, right?
Well, that's supposed to be reference, right? That's what we discovered a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Well, yeah, it depends on the content. Yeah. So if that's what you're normally listening at, just add 6 to it. And I think the bass in this, it was physical media level. It was, I mean, my in the third story, the plane scenes, the basin there was some really nice, like you see the end scene, not the end scene, but when he kind of is like, quote unquote, chosen, right? That there's a huge bass rumble, and my Harmony remote lit up. Things were going off. Things were happening. I was like, this is streaming? I mean, it was that good. It was that good. And it was quite the experience in both of them, to be fair. In both of them, the Atmos track was very good, but don't sleep on, try out the 5.1, the local feed, John, with the Dolby Vision, and see if you get the same experience. It was really, really good. Now, I did these today, both in the middle of the day, so it wasn't throttled by anybody outside of here. But it was awesome. Absolutely awesome as a home theater experience.
I mean, I obviously I've only watched the UK version, but it was I thought video wise, I thought it looked exceptional. I didn't have an issue in terms of how it looked. I love that it looks like there are brush strokes on the characters. I love that kind of animation detail. Very cool, by the way.
Each story had a slightly different animation.
It did, and also notice that the Predators are mirroring the technology of the time.
Yeah.
So notice that Ninja's got the sort of ninja type tech,
the blade.
Exactly. So the it's very cool. So I loved how it looked. My personal ones, I would go, 2, 3, 4, 1 if I was going in my I thought the Viking one was not quite as good as I thought it would be. Still good, but not
Same
quite
here.
as good as the others. Yeah, I felt it was a little bit quick. I think it took some time to get to the rhythm of what was going on. So I think the first one suffers a bit. But yeah, I think also the bass in the first one is not as pronounced either, which is weird because the Predator on that is bigger. And so I thought it would be bang, 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 but it's not. But once you hit the Ninja one, which starts off with this amazing sound effect where he's got a stick and he's waving a stick, and it goes and that goes right across the room and left and right. And it's really cool. And you can hear the leaves falling as well, which I think is really cool. But the bass in that's really good. The way that really does kick it off. And then by the time we get to the third one, I love the sort of hemispheric effect of the plane. It feels like you're in the sky. You've got these echoes behind you. You can hear this stuff. At times it felt a bit like Maverick, where you've got these kind of these planes zipping about. So
how about the scene where the engines are shut off? It's not really a spoiler. That scene there, because you have had so much sound, so much bass, explosions of all different planes, all of this stuff going on. And then there's a scene where the engine, it's a free fall, and you get but you could hear the ricketiness of the plane.
Yes. Yeah.
The detail in that I felt like and that's a particular scene that was it seemed a lot brighter because of like the brighter sky. And I want to say, like, when they added in, and it actually made me, on the second viewing in the 5.1 upmixed, it's falling through clouds, and it's like, when you fall through clouds, do you get there was a bass whoosh with it. Like, I don't think clouds make a bass whoosh when you fall through them.
I don't know.
Right? Vapor.
It's like, but
give it a try. Let's see.
Yeah, exactly. They did it. Well, it's kind of like in space. Nothing makes noises either, but hey, we have it in the movies. But it was, and it went by you. It was like you were going through it, and that bass to me felt deeper, felt like more pronounced coming through in the 5.1 upmix.
Yeah. And I did have to I bumped mine 3 dB. I didn't go to 6. With Disney Plus, I've got a separate kind of thing that I go to. So mine was about 3, but yes, it's quiet at your normal listening level. Just nudge it just goose it that little bit, and I agree, it definitely makes a difference. But I think this is an excellent experience. It really is good. I mean, Fox, if you're listening, let's have our 4K disc, please, because it'll just look even better and sound better. Because Prey did, and
hopefully we will, because we got Prey.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. Well, fingers crossed. We don't have any, well, at least I don't yet have any behind the scenes info on that, as we did with Prey. But I will be keeping my ear to the ground. And of course, this will most certainly feed directly into Badlands. Anyone that has seen this, obviously that's a theatrical release in November. But almost certainly, I think this is the Animatrix to Badlands the Matrix, and I think how characters in the Animatrix turned up in Matrix, and I think that's what's going to happen here. But we will see. But yeah, I don't think we're going to have time to talk spoilers, those guys.
No.
Might perhaps do that next week, which would give more people more time to have seen it, of course.
Right.
So we might be able to do that next week if we feel up to it.
What do you guys think about? I'd like to put this in my. I put it on my list for a home theater experience. I mean, we have to have 10, and I've been making my list, and it's like these. I mean, it's just starting to come about now where I'm like, I need to have this in there, right? And like the last few weeks between Warfare, Sinners, and now this, it's like. I'm like, well, how do you guys feel like maybe not because it's streaming, or how do you feel?
Yeah, for me again, sorry, John. I think it'll be in the conversation. But of course, bear in mind, I haven't seen Warfare at home yet. I haven't seen Sinners at home yet. So I've got to reserve judgment on those. I mean, for me, Wolfman is up there in terms of demo material. That's going to be in there for sure. I am fully expecting Kingdom of Heaven's going to be in there for sure, but I'll give that a watch obviously this week. But for what I hear, it's awesome. But yeah, it'll be in the conversation. But I knowing kind of what's out there and what's coming, I don't think by the end of the year this will be in the top 10 because there's a lot of stuff that's coming this year, so I'm not sure it'll be there. But that's not to say it's not awesome because it is. And if it is in there, then great. But I think we're going to have more than 10 experiences this year, judged based on what's coming. That this will be probably just nudged out.
Superman.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm seeing.
But this one is really good. They do a great job with the audio in this, and like I said, and the picture is really good as well.
Oh yeah,
lots of detail and that's meaningful. Like you said, the art, the different art they use, brush strokes and such. So,
what do you reckon? Do you reckon they'll release this on physical media just before Badlands hits? Do you think it'll be to give everyone another kind of bite at the Predator cherry just before the
they did it with Prey, and that was it's on Disney Plus now. It was a Hulu release over here and Stars over there, or whatever. It's like, I hope so. I hope so.
Fingers crossed. There's lots of talk in the chat about Alien Earth. There was a trailer that dropped this week, which is awesome. And that's the series coming later in the summer. I think it's August, isn't it? So I thought the trailer looked great as well. I can't wait for that. It looks very cool. I mean, I've got a feeling Fox have got their teeth into this now. I've got a feeling this is going to cross over. The trailer to Badlands has an alien skull in it. I think these are more closely linked than perhaps at the moment we know for sure. And if it is, great. They seem to be really knocking these out of the park now. They really have kind of got this cooking nicely.
Yeah. Cool.
Alrighty.
All right. That will do it for this week. Steve's got to get out of here. But yes, thank you to the patrons. Thank you very much. And if you'd like to support the show, as always, $1 a month or anything more than that would greatly be appreciated here. And if everybody listened to us, just gave that $1, it's like John would need a job. I would be all set. Steve, who knows? I don't know. He'd have another set of glasses.
Just buy more movies.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
But yeah. So thank you to everybody. Thanks for the chat. Awesome. Maybe next week we'll do a spoilers version of. I mean, we're dying to talk about a Killer of Killers, but we'd always warn you. We wouldn't just start talking spoilers. We were ready to go with the popcorn popping and say, okay, it'll be the end of the show. So, but all right, we got to get out of here. Till next time, you know what you got to do.
Go push play.
What he said.
That is right.
Hey, Fred.
This has been a Hey Fred production with theme music by Jeff Bernhardt and Throne Vault Productions.